Hey, what's going on guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you guys my opinion on the best junglers for Season 4, patch 4.20. But before I get into the video guys, I don't know if you have noticed already, but I did get a new microphone. I got the Blue Yeti microphone, and a lot of you guys have, or not recently, but when I started doing YouTube, a lot of people commented saying I should invest in a better microphone, so I've decided to do that now, and I hope you guys enjoy the new audio, and I hope it sounds a lot better. So without further ado though guys, let's get into the video. At my number 5 spot, I have Udyr. So pros to Udyr are he's got very fast clear speeds, and with the new jungle, champions that can clear the jungle without losing a lot of HP are the champions that are going to fare the best. That's why Udyr does really well in the jungle, because if you didn't know, you only start with 2 potions now, so you really want to play a jungler who's got good sustain, or else you're going to have to be going back. You're gonna have to be going back when you hit level 3, because you won't have enough HP to gank, you won't have enough HP to do another camp. So that's why junglers with sustain are really good in the in Season 5 with the new jungle, and that's why Udyr is really strong right now. So he's got really strong sustain, he's got strong movement speed. The new jungle item is really good for him because he can stack it really fast, and he is a strong counter jungler as well. He's also a really good duelist, he is a late game monster as well, and a really strong split pusher. Cons to Udyr are he can get kited pretty easily, and one champion who counters him really hard is Fiddlesticks, because if Udyr's trying to engage, all that Fiddle needs to do is use his fear, and Udyr basically can't do anything. So champions that have kiting potential, or champions that have really good CC, are a pretty hard counter to Udyr, and I wouldn't recommend picking Udyr into someone like a Fiddlesticks, because you won't be able to find those right engages most of the time. So next up on my list, I have Shaco, and Shaco also benefits really well from the new jungle. The new jungle item is perfect for him. He's got some of the best early game ganks in the game because of his invisibility, and that he can put his box down, and he's got his slow on his E, so he's just got really strong ganks. He's also always at full HP after he does his first buff, which is a really big pro to him. He's also a strong split pusher. If you pick up Ravenous Hydra and Static Shiv on him, then Shaco becomes a monster at split pushing, especially if you've got your ultimate up, you can use your ultimate and you just tear down towers really fast. He also snowballs really hard, and he can one-shot squishies late game. He's also a pretty strong counter jungler because he can use his Q to escape if the enemy jungler does show up. Then if he's low HP, he can just use his Q and escape really easily. Cons to Shaco are he is pretty squishy, and he's also super weak when behind. You really need to make sure that you're abusing Shaco's strong early game, and that you're getting those ganks off in the first couple of levels, because Shaco does rely on having a strong early game, and if you don't get a few kills before like 10 minutes, then he's not going to be a very useful champion, because he won't have his items, he's going to be really squishy, and he's going to be pretty useless because he won't do damage, and he'll just get blown off really fast in team fights. So next up on my list, I have Fiddlesticks. Pros to Fiddlesticks are he has super strong sustain with his W. He's also got hard CC with his Q, which is his fear, and his E. His fear counters movement speed engaged champions. Like I said, he counters Udyr pretty hard. He also counters Hecarim. Champions that rely on movement speed for engage, he counters them really hard. Also Volibear he counters pretty hard. He also has great level 6 ganks with his ultimate, and he is a teamfight master. His ultimate is super strong as well. If you can get a good ultimate off in a team fight, then it can completely change the momentum of the game. You only really need to get one good ultimate off with Fiddlesticks, and you can completely, like, one good ultimate with Fiddlesticks in a team fight could win you the game, and that's why he's such a strong pick. He's also strong with the new jungle item, and he's useful even when behind because of his strong CC. Cons to Fiddlesticks are he is very squishy, and he also has no mobility. So next up on my list, I have Warwick. pros to Warwick are he's got really strong sustain with his W and his Q, which helps him a lot in the new jungle, and that's why he's just a really strong pick right now, because he can sustain really easily, and he doesn't really even need potions. You could start with like mana pots if you wanted to. You could start with a ward because Warwick's sustain is just really strong. He's also got a very strong ultimate, and once you hit level 6, you're basically guaranteed a kill wherever you gank with your ultimate. As long as your teammates as long as your teammate follows up on the gank, then you're pretty much guaranteed the kill. He can also build tanky and still do a lot of damage, and he's super easy to play. Cons to Warwick are his weak early game ganks, so when you're playing Warwick, you just want to try to farm up and get to level 6 as fast as you can, because there's really no point in ganking as Warwick pre-6 because his ganks are pretty weak. Unless the enemy team is pushed all the way up into your team's tower, then I wouldn't gank with Warwick because it's basically just wasting your time. And his ultimate is also easily countered by like Quicksilver Sash and any sort of CC, so I wouldn't recommend picking Warwick into enemy team comps who've got a lot of CC. For example, if you're going up against an enemy comp who's got like a Leona, a Fiddlesticks, a Galio, or something like that, a team comp that has a lot of CC, I wouldn't recommend picking Warwick because your ultimate's just going to be really easily countered. Number 1 on my list for 2 patches in a row now is going to be Pantheon. So pros to Pantheon is he can solo Dragon really easily. Because of his passive, it makes it really easy to solo Dragon as Pantheon, because Dragon autos you, I think, once every 4 seconds, something like that, and Pantheon's always going to have his passive up every time it auto attacks, so you're basically going to take no damage from Dragon, at least if you're level like 5 or higher. I've done it at level 6. I've soloed Dragon at level 6 with Pantheon, so this is just such a strong ability to have in a champion. No other champion in the game right now, I don't think, can solo Dragon at level 6, and this just puts Pantheon apart from all those other junglers in the game right now, and I think he's a really strong pick because of this, and because of a lot of other things as well though. He's got very strong ganks early game and once he hits level 6. His passive is also really strong, like I said, and he's probably got the best level 6 ganks in the game in my opinion. If you can get a good ultimate off down bot lane, which is what I like to do as Pantheon, once I'm finished doing my second blue buff, I hit up bot lane and I use my ultimate, and I'm basically guaranteed at least 1 kill if my bot lane follows up, and that just allows you to snowball your team and snowball bot lane really hard. And if you're able to get these ganks off whenever your ultimate's up, then you're just gonna be able to get your teammates fed, you're going to get fed, and it's gonna be a lot easier to carry the game if you can do that. He's also a really strong counter ganker because of his ultimate, arguably the best counter ganker in the game, if not the best, and he's a really strong duelist as well, especially against auto attack based champions like Master Yi. He counters really hard because of his passive. Cons to Pantheon are he is pretty weak when behind, so like Shaco, you got to make sure that you're getting those ganks off with your ultimate whenever it's up, and getting those strong early game ganks off, because if you do fall behind, then he is pretty weak. And he is also pretty mana hungry early game, so if you're playing a strong invade champion, for example Udyr, or a champion who can do well in the early game, then I would recommend trying to invade Pantheon, because if he does miss out on his first blue buff, then he's going to be set really far behind. Honorable mentions for this patch include Jarvan, Lee Sin, and Hecarim. So the reason why these 3 champions aren't on my list is because they don't have that sustain that the champions on my list do. All of the champions on my list have some sort of sustain or some way of preventing damage from jungle camps, and because these champions don't have that, they're going to have to go back at level 3 and regain HP, because if they don't, then they're not going to be able to gank, and they're not going to be able to continue farming the jungle, because you do only start with 2 health pots now, and with Jarvan and Hecarim especially, you're going to be really low on HP after you've done your red buff and once you've hit level 3, so that's the reason why that these champions aren't on my list, because they just don't have that sustain to stay in the jungle and to farm up and to be able to get those early game ganks off. Although they are still strong because Jarvan, he's a really strong team fighter, and once you can go back and regain your HP and get some ganks off, then his ganks are really strong, especially when you hit level 6. And Hecarim's ganks are also really strong because of his E and his ultimate, as well as Lee Sin. If you know how to insect kick and you can consistently land your Qs, then he is also a pretty strong pick still. But that is all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to like and subscribe for more League of Legends content. And don't forget to comment below telling me what you guys think of the new audio, if you think it's greatly improved, if you think it's about the same, or if you think it's worse, but I'm pretty sure you won't think it's worse. If you do, then you should probably get your headphones checked or your audio checked on your computer. But once again, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.